Hello and welcome. You're watching Left, Right and Centre. I'm Ankita Mukherjee. Our big focus tonight. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has all but declared war against the Election Commission of India after the poll panel transferred 4 senior IPS officers in the state. She has shot off a scathing letter to the Election Commission in which she calls that order to transfer the 4 officers as highly arbitrary, motivated and biased. She also says it was issued at the behest of the BJP. She's even raised questions about whether the poll panel is following its constitutional mandate or not. The move to transfer the top cops, though, has been welcomed by the opposition in Bengal. We're asking tonight, was this move a political one or justified? She is not the only Chief Minister to be raising such questions. In fact, under Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu has raised similar queries after the Chief Secretary of Andhra Pradesh was also removed. Now, the officers in question are perhaps some of the senior-most officers in the state. The Kolkata Police Commissioner, the Police Commissioner of Bidhannagar or Salt Lake, which is Kolkata's satellite city, and also 2 superintendents of police who are posted in particularly sensitive seats, including one from where the Chief Minister's nephew, Abhishek Banerjee, is going to be contesting. Also, these transfers have to be seen in the light of Mamata Banerjee's dharna held in February, what she called her Save the Constitution dharna, when she had protested against the CBI questioning then Police Commissioner. And at the time, some of these police officers were seen at Mamata Banerjee's political dharna. Monideepa Banerjee joining us at this point. Monideepa, is there any kind of precedent that you can remember where a chief minister of a state has taken on the Election Commission in such angry terms? Would you say this is a first, albeit a very dubious one?
Definitely, in my memory of West Bengal at least, definitely a first that a chief minister should write such a letter to the election commissioner himself, accusing the election commission of bias, of being undemocratic, of, apparently towing the line of the ruling party, the BJP. And then urging the Election Commission to review the decisions it has taken on the police officers who have been transferred, and on top of it saying that, also investigate who are the real people, who are the people who really took those decisions to remove the Police Commissioner of Kolkata, Police Commissioner of Bidhannagar. Never have I seen a letter like this. In fact, when that letter first went into circulation in media circles, it was like the Chief Secretary had written to the Election Commission, which is really the norm. But then it later emerged, no, it was the Chief Minister herself, the Chief Minister who is campaigning up in North Bengal. Now, in her 2 election rallies that she held up in North Bengal, she didn't say a word about this whole mess, only referring to transfer of officials in a passing manner, saying that why don't they just transfer me? It was even, funny. But then you have this letter which goes into circulation, and it is it is so hard-hitting, so strong that the ramifications are really huge. How is the Election Commissioner going to respond to an elected Chief Minister's letter of this tone? And this is a very important question, and it's sort of reminiscent of the whole drama that erupted over Rajiv Kumar, the then Police Commissioner of Kolkata, for whom Mamata Banerjee went on a dharna in the middle of Kolkata.
Monideepa, how have other political parties responded to this development?
Very curious, one would have thought that indeed these huge postings right ahead of the elections are something that several political parties would condemn. But most opposition political parties, and I will start with the CPM, the Congress, they have both said, yes, indeed, administration in West Bengal needs to be above board, and not biased, and therefore this is a good move. The BJP, of course, has straight away said that the transfers were inevitable. There had been many complaints against these officers by opposition parties, and therefore, this had to happen. Finally, of course, the Congress Congress MP, Mr. Pradeep Bhattacharya, commented and said, why just two other SPs of two other districts should also have been transferred, as we had complained against them. So let's say Mamata Banerjee does not have the support of all the parties in this state.
All right. We leave it at that. Monadeepa, thanks very much indeed for bringing us that big story. Let's take this right across to our guest tonight. We're being joined by the former Chief Election Commissioner, T.S. Krishnamurthy. It's very good to have you with us, sir. Mamata Banerjee raising questions now about whether the Election Commission is even following its constitutional mandate. My question to you, sir, is, does the EC have, in fact, powers to transfer officers without consulting with the state government at all?
Well, I think I'm not able to hear you properly, but I take it that you're asking me why the Chief Minister is objecting to a transfer of a particular official. I'm reminded of an incident when I was the Chief Election Commissioner. When I asked the Chief Secretary to transfer a person, he said he will consult with the Chief Minister. My reply to him was, if you are going to consult, we will look for a new Chief Secretary. And he has to follow the guidelines of the Election Commission. He can inform the Chief Minister, but he cannot consult him. Similarly, in this case, I do not think the Chief Secretary is right in communicating to the Election Commission that it is a view of a particular opposite view or whatever it is. They must comply with, otherwise I think they must change the Chief Secretary himself if necessary.
Well, Mr. Krishnamurthy, it now appears that the letter was in fact not actually signed by the Chief Secretary but by the Chief Minister herself. Would you say the Election Commission
now? All the more I would say that the Chief Secretary should implement the Election Commission's order and not the Chief Minister's order. I am very clear about it. It is within the mandate given by the Supreme Court.
How do you think the Election Commission can now respond? This is, after all, the elected Chief Minister of a state raising very serious allegations and charges against the poll panel. She's calling them motivated, arbitrary,
that's a different matter. It can be challenged at the end of the election and they can go to the court. As far the election process is concerned, not even the Supreme Court can interfere with the decisions of the Election Commission. They can only hear the grievances at the end of the election result is given. I do not think the Chief Minister has the right to object to the transfer of an officer if the Election Commission in its wisdom thought that he must be transferred.
So you are saying then that the Election Commission is the supreme authority in this matter, even if the Chief Minister has any questions, those can only be raised after the entire election process is over.
I have no doubts whatsoever. The Supreme Court gives that mandate to the Election Commission in the interest of free and fair elections.
And would you say that in this particular case, particularly when some of these officers were seen at a political gathering with the Chief Minister, that this raised questions about them? About their ability to act independently?
Now, as far as I am concerned, the Election Commission has given a direction. If it is not complied with, the Election Commission can itself postpone the election throughout the state or in a particular constituency, depending upon the non-compliance of the Election Commission's direction. In fact, I had a similar experience in Bengal, West Bengal, when one of the political persons went and complained to observers, complained to the voters to take the observers away from the scene and all that. So I spoke to the Chief Minister at that time and told him that he must disown the statement given by the particular political personality and the Election Commission. Otherwise, if it doesn't comply with, I will postpone the election throughout the state.
All right, Mr. Krishnamurthy, thanks very much indeed for joining us tonight and giving us your view on just where the Election Commission stands on its constitutional powers in a situation like this, mandated, as you say, by the Supreme Court. Let's take this across to our other panelists tonight. We have Aruna Roy, a former civil servant and a social activist, joining us on the program. Dr. Geeta Bhatt, political analyst and then someone who's going to give us the right-wing position on the show tonight. We're also being joined by Professor Subhrata Mukherjee, a Trinamool Congress supporter. But Aruna Roy, what do you make of this very extraordinary and ugly confrontation that's been set up by Mamata Banerjee today with this letter that she has shot off to the Election Commission, accusing the poll panel of being arbitrary, motivated and acting at the behest of a particular political party, in this case the BJP?
Actually, in current contemporary politics and in the way the institutions have been managed and where the independence of institutions is largely in question, it's a big area of grey. One doesn't know what has motivated the Election Commission as well. It was the days of trusting the Election Commission's mandate and its intent are somewhat less clear today. So while the Chief Minister may not be correct in so far as procedure is concerned, when these things come up for public debate, the people who read this news are left in a state of a doubt, I won't say confusion. They don't know who is speaking the truth and whether these transfers were motivated by politics and political intention or by a purely bureaucratic interest or the interest of the law or the mandate of the Supreme Court. One is not so sure. So I think unless we know the full facts of the case and why these people have been transferred, I wouldn't be able to offer a clear opinion on it. And that is one of the reasons why I think governance in the last 4 to 5 years has become more and more opaque, and so decisions that should be easy for people is becoming more and more difficult today.
Dr. Geeta Bhatt, respond to that. Political intention or not, or whether this is just the Election Commission following their mandated course of action. Aruna Roy makes the point that it's very hard now to separate just what's happening at this point. Where do you come in on this?
Well, Ankita, if you go towards North Bengal, you know, people there, those who are going to vote, they keep on asking that if you can just correct it, there is a feedback coming. People, they keep asking there that why, you know, when are the central forces are going to arrive so that there could be free and fair elections over here. And let us not forget that just some time back there were panchayati elections which took place in West Bengal, and we have seen that how democratic norms, you know, and the misuse of the democratic institutions within West Bengal had taken place when we could see the ballot boxes floating in rivers. You know, the kind of massive rigging that took place, so much so that the Supreme Court had to intervene and had to tell the state and the State Election Commission that, you know, they had to put their house in order. So with this kind of a background, we have been seeing for the last couple of years that how, you know, whether it is the human rights and especially the, you know, the among the political opponents, how the, you know, TMC has been treating them. We have seen so many, especially Dalit workers of opposition parties, they have been hanged, they have been killed. Recently, you know, one of the workers, political worker called Dulal Kumar, who was murdered, the Supreme Court had to intervene and has asked the West Bengal government, you know, to submit the medical report of that murder which has taken place.
My point is, and this
in
is
this
something
kind
that's
of a background,
it's been underlined by Mamata Banerjee
yes.
today. When you remove the senior most police officers in the state, you're actually leaving behind a vacuum. This close to the elections, is that something that is actually going to sort of help? She makes the point that, you know, bribing of voters would go up. You suddenly have new officers who are not aware of the realities on the ground. Are these actually serious concerns? Shobrata Mukherjee, if you want to come in on this point.
Well, technicalities do not make a foundational concept of democracy. You see, if you really look to this kind of a transfer at all of a sudden, it is rather unusual. Now, if West Bengal is a difficult state, so is Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, but such actions we do not find to be taken there. So, the question that arises is that is the Election Commission is like Caesar's wife above suspicion. So, that is on the onus is on the part of the Election Commission to clear the air and give some justification for action, because all the charges that we have heard till now have nothing to do with conducting the election, or all of them in a way are not related to the conduct of election or the model code of conduct. In that kind of a situation, however powerful the Election Commission may be at the particular juncture, I think it owes an explanation to the people, because the crisis of confidence is acute in India, and it must clear the air quickly.
All right, Geeta, but before I come to you, Aruna Roy, very quickly, it's an interesting point that Mr. Mukherjee, who's a Trinamool supporter, raises, because it isn't just Mamata Banerjee. Chandrababu Naidu has raised similar concerns in Andhra Pradesh, where the Chief Secretary was transferred. Mr. Mukherjee makes the point that, you know, this is not something that we've actually seen in states where there is currently a government that is aligned to the government at the center. So, you know, would this then raise questions?
Actually, I didn't stay very long in the IAS, it was just 7 years, but I also know that such transfers are not made just before an election or just before some major exercises to take place. So, if such a transfer is made, then there should be sufficient reason for such a transfer. And I think as an RTI activist, as a democratic civil rights activist, I would be very keen on knowing what the reasons are for this transfer. If they justify the transfer just because there is a procedural right, nowadays procedural rights lead you to disaster in many ways. So the people have lost trust in procedural moves or moves mandated by superior institutions, to the extent to which individual interest, political play has really determined administrative decisions in the last many years. So I think what he says is right. If they are transferred, they owe an explanation to the people as to why these transfers have taken place and why Chandrababu Naidu and Mamata Banerjee have been focused on, and why not the other states. So we should know reasons for such a transfer.
Geeta, but is that something that you would agree with? Yes, Bengal has a dubious track record when it comes to elections. We take your points about that. But are we seeing selective action here? Or should we at least, you know, does the Election Commission really owe an explanation not just to the specific
Ankita,
states
you
but
know,
to
very
voters
recently,
in general?
Right. You see, we know that, you know, a model code of conduct has been, you know, implemented, and we all are aware that during that time, the welfare schemes of the government, you know, they stop for during that duration. However, Mamata Banerjee had put a special request to the Election Commission, because this is the season, you know, of the Chaitra, you know, when there are a lot of, this is the wedding season. So there is a special scheme called Rupa Shri, which is being run by the West Bengal government, which basically, you know, gives money for the wedding of the girls from the backward classes. So she put a special request to the Election Commission that let this scheme be run even when the model code of conduct is on, and the Election Commission has given permission. So are other political party opponents going to the EC and protesting that this is going to be an appeasement of the people? One point. And second point, I just, no, you know, like for example, Kisan Nidhi Samman and all these are going, now the next quota is going to get released only after, once the elections are over. Right. And second point is, please remember what has happened in West Bengal is unprecedented in this country.
Yes.
When we saw that how to protect, you know, Rajiv Kumar and the whole corruption scandal of the Ponzi schemes worth of the order of 19,000 crores, that, you know, that in that the information, the way it has been concealed.
So are you specifically then, Geeta Bhatt, saying that these officers who have been transferred,
I mean, undemocratic when you saw the Chief Minister coming down on the streets and protesting, and two of these police officers were those who participated in those dharna along with the Chief Minister. So isn't, you know, can't one make out that, you know, that there has been, and of course we all know that Mamata Banerjee has been using the state machinery as well as the state police as their own private army. We have seen the police officers and policemen wearing, you know, the badges of Trinamool Congress, you know, while they are rallying their parties. This has been seen, captured on photograph everywhere.
That I think is too much of an exaggeration. You see, the IAS functions as a part of the central code, and there is a code of conduct. So that is an unproved charge, and very responsibly it is being proclaimed. Now, if you really look to the problem lies somewhere else. You see, the dharna that is being talked about, there was an explanation provided by the police officers, and we don't know whether it was accepted or not. Even there is nothing called the Sona, the gold affair, nothing has happened till now, and there is a first principle of law. One is innocent till proved guilty.
Protest? Should the police officers have been seen at a political dharna?
But you see, the explanation was that they were part of the, there is also a meeting with the Chief Minister and all that. So, you see, the point is that election must appear to be fair. It is not only to be, it must appear to be fair. Now, these 4 transfers look very arbitrary, because in a similar situation elsewhere, we do not find such prompt action. For instance, in Arunachal, we have read about the transfer of money and all that.
Right.
Has anybody been transferred? That is the larger question that remains.
All right, we leave it at that for now. No doubt we are going to be talking about this in the days to come as well. Whether the Election Commission should in fact make its reasons clear or not is a demand that's now being made. But I'd like to thank you all for joining us. Aruna Roy, Dr. Geeta Bhatt, Subrata Mukherjee, thank you for joining us on this debate tonight.